Ladies and gentlemen, we're back live, part two of the evening, going back to back, back to back. As I tweeted earlier, Drake voice. I guess that's my Drake voice. I am Al Walsh. You can follow me on Twitter at 14a.walsh. I am joined by Nicky Rodriguez, bottom of the map, MIA man himself. What's up, kid?
Nice to be back. Round two, baby. Round two.
Indeed. Now, we did the NFL show, so if you saw us earlier before, thanks for following over with us. Pretty exciting here for college football. I gotta say though, if anybody's watching this on the come around or anybody's watching live and you used my lineups last week, I apologize dearly. But that's how it goes with me on Twitter. Like I'll say like how great I'm doing, and then the DFS guys just knock me right back down to earth. It's like you did well. Now we're bringing you down.
Definitely, you can't win them all. It's impossible to win every week, but you had a nice run, and now it's time to bounce back.
But I want to win them all. I mean, Christ Almighty. You know what's hilarious is that the lineup that I did the best on this season, I was out on a date like early on a Saturday, right?
hmm
So I tell her, the girl knows what I do. Like, she knows that like I'm really into this fantasy stuff. So she basically, we're at the bar and I'm like, like I kind of gotta like, tinker with this lineup and everything. And she's like, oh no, that's fine, whatever, do what you gotta do, blah blah. And then, we were drinking for a while, so I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm just gonna let it ride. And then I came in like 66th out of like 4,000 people with a lineup that I did at like 4 o'clock on like a Friday afternoon. I don't know. Nikki's frozen. Want to welcome everybody into the show. Glad to have you here. We have only a 4-game slate here for this. I know Nikki's going to come back soon. We need him. He'll be back. The first game that we got on the docket, it's the Thursday night special. We got the Miami Hurricanes at the Cincinnati Bearcats. Now, I know you look at this whole college football slate here on the Thursday and the Friday. You're going to be tempted to take a Paxton Lynch. And you know what? I can't argue with you. I really can't. But if you want to make your lineup more profitable, I actually have to go against him this week. I have to. But from the Miami-Cincinnati game, I do like Hayden Moore. He's listed at 7,200 here. Listen, Miami's defense is very good. This is no secret. This is a new age Miami Hurricanes that we have here. However, Cincinnati likes to run the ball. Their situation at running back right now, kind of fucked up.
Yes.
I like Hayden Moore. You back?
Yeah, technical
Good.
difficulties.
I held it down for like 25 seconds. Go me, right?
You froze for about 10 seconds, so I
You
just
froze. You froze. Don't put this on me.
I froze. I froze.
I was talking about your opponent right now, the Cincinnati Bearcats coming in.
Okay.
They're at home, whatever. I like, as I said, Paxton Lynch. He's the top quarterback on this slate. There's no doubt about that. He's going to be the highest point total quarterback. But I don't think I want to have in my lineup. I think we got some decent value here at quarterback.
I agree.
And we're going to start here in the Miami-Cincinnati game. I know which way you're going to go, but I went with Hayden Moore from Cincinnati. This was amazing. Last week they played at Memphis. It was, this huge game, one of the biggest games in Memphis school history. But Hayden Moore comes off of the bench, and then he throws for a school record 557 yards. Now that's off the bench, 557 yards. He's only going to run you 7,200 on DraftKings. I know Miami has a good defense, but let's roll with them. They're at home.
Exactly. They're at home, so might as well. But I'm looking at Brad Kaya.
Of course you are. Why wouldn't you be?
This guy is very solid quarterback. A good fact about Cincinnati, they have run the most plays per game at 97 yards per game. I mean, 97.
That's what I'm talking about, kid. These are the stats that we need here. And this is college football. This isn't NFL where everybody knows. That's what I'm talking about, Nicky.
Exactly.
That's what
It's
I'm talking
not
about.
Oregon this year. It's Cincinnati. This is gonna be a high-scoring game. I think Miami is gonna come up on top. I might be a homer, but Brad Kaya looks great last week, and He's going to do it again against Cincinnati, who has a terrible secondary.
I agree. Their whole defense is pretty shitty. Now, granted, they went against Memphis last week. That's a little bit of a
Yes.
detriment to their stat line, but that's okay. I mean, Vegas says this is going to be the highest scoring game on the Thursday-Friday slate, so let's have the most exposure to it that we possibly can.
Exactly.
I'm not mad with either pick. I mean, you want to take a quarterback from either side on this, fine. I just think that Miami is probably going to go more to Yerby, which we'll get to in a little bit. One of the best
Okay.
running backs in all the land. But yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, man, I was very, very impressed with what Moore did coming off the bench, throwing for 557. I mean, that type of momentum has to carry over. I mean, I can only imagine that this guy was just like in the student quad throwing footballs on like a Thursday or on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, he can't wait to throw another football.
Exactly, and they're at home, so that's always a plus. They. I'm trying to find a point to argue against you, but I can't. I really can't.
Well,
Miami defense is really good, but this is
let
going to
me
be a high-scoring game.
I was gonna say, let me give myself a point to argue against myself, right?
Okay, there you go.
That sounds ridiculous, but let me do it. Last week during the game, actually the Friday night game, Boise State played Virginia. The color commentator there, he was saying that he was like, it was kind of an advantage for a weekday game for the road team to come in there because you know what, they're not necessarily dealing with all that school type of pressure, so if you play a game during the week, you're in class all day, you see the student body, everybody's kind of firing you up. It's a national TV game. I think you get a little more pumped up for that. You probably even get a little more nervous for that, especially with these are kids, we got to remember these are children
Exactly.
that we're dealing with here. So, yeah, I don't think Kai is a bad play at all. I like Hayden Moore basically $1,000 more. I mean, we got to fit some studs into our lineup in this one. So I think, and again, if Miami's going to whoop ass and Cincinnati is still there with a total of 68, I might be leaning more towards Hayden Moore.
I don't think it's going to be an ass beating. I think it's going to be a little closer than you think.
All right.
Miami had the big lead at halftime, and Nebraska just came out balling.
That was a great game. Great game.
Yeah, not for a fan, but not for a UM fan. But I don't know what's the price difference on DraftKings, but it's only $100 between Brad Kaya and Hayden Moore. So I'm leaning towards Brad Kaya.
All right, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, on DraftKings, the Hayden Moore is $7,200, Brad Kaya $8,200. So we got $1,000 difference.
Okay, so yeah, in that situation, I'd probably go Moore, but here I'd go Kaya.
All right, let's talk about the skill positions. Last week at running back, I did have Tion Green. He absolutely disappointed the whole slate. I believe in the slate that I had him. He was in the 50 to 60 range. He really disappointed big time. He's kind of got a timeshare going there with Hosey Williams. The two of them, they're gonna see their touches both. I was amazingly disappointed with Green because, Memphis doesn't have a great defense. I thought we were going to see some bigger runs. But, listen, Hayden Moore went off, so that was his time. I think Miami's going to keep the run game in check. I think they're going to score enough points to where Cincinnati is going to be throwing the ball. So I'm off on running backs on the Cincinnati side of things, especially since they have that timeshare. But I'm in on Yerby.
Definitely, I'm with you. Yerby is my second top running back in this slate.
Yerby.
Sorry.
No, I don't know. I'm just saying. Hey, look, listen. There's too many college games to keep a track of.
We're giving out educated guesses here. We know the stats, not the names. But earlier in the season they said they were going to split carries between all the running backs, but Yerby has just taken over that number one running back spot. So he's definitely a guy to look at, especially against Cincy. They're going to run a lot of plays.
Well, here's the deal at running back because you have Jahad Thomas at Temple, who we'll get to when we get
We'll
to that
get to.
game. But I mean, if you're looking at in terms of volume, in terms of price, now Casey, our boy Casey Carruthers, he'll join us tomorrow night for the Saturday slate. Couldn't join us tonight, but he wrote a tremendous article. As always, dailyfantasysportsrankings.com. Make sure you go there. He's the main college football writer over there, so his stuff is always gold. I mean, that's how we linked up. Gold on gold, right?
Exactly.
Right. But he likes Yerby more than he likes Jahad Thomas. I think it's more. Actually, I know it's more. I read the article. I read it. He likes it more because he thinks it's going to be a closer game. Granted, Thomas is going up against Charlotte, who sucks. I mean, Temple's a 24.5-point favorite. That game can get out of hand real quick.
Exactly.
But I'm going to disagree with Casey. I'm going to go Jahad. Over Yerby. I understand the fact that this is the highest scoring total on the board, but Charlotte against Jahad Thomas? No. I think he could have an NCAA record by the time Friday night is done.
You think so?
Yeah, I believe so very much. It's Charlotte, like what do? They do NASCAR down there. They don't do rush defense. I think this game with Miami and Cincinnati, it's got the potential to be a low-scoring game. It's a Thursday. It's a short slate. I can make the case against Yerby, but I mean, if we're going in terms of salary cap, John Thomas is $800 more. I like the opportunity that he has going against a very weak defense. We look at Temple's offense. Granted, they've kind of been the ass kick-y in a lot of their games, but let Jahad run. Let him get his stats. I think that's what's going to happen. Again, we'll get to that game when we get there, but I'm going to go with Jahad over Yerby.
That's tough. I'm going leaning towards you with you. I like Jahad a little more. Charlotte, the 49ers. If they play like the 49ers, they might be in trouble, but they don't.
Oh, well played.
I say if Jahad Thomas does not get a touchdown, I'll come on next show with the rainbow tattoo on my forehead.
It's the rainbow tattoo forehead. Hey, by the way, Colin Cowherd had a great rant today about Leonard Fournette. Now, this is interesting because I'm glad that we're talking about the running back position when we talk about this. But now, the rule is you can't go to the NFL until you have 3 years after your high school graduation. A guy like Leonard Fournette, he's here in his second season. We know how great he is. He's going to the NFL. Like, there's no doubt about it. He's going to be a stud. He's going to be a star. He's going to be everything that we hoped and more. Now, he can't go after year 2, which kind of sucks. Like, I want to see him in the NFL. I want to see what he does. He's only 20 years old. But how plausible would it be if he just sat out next year?
He talked about this on the show. I missed the heck of a show.
Oh, yeah.
So
if he just sat out next year, but now this is predicated on the fact that running backs take an absolute beating.
Exactly.
He also had a great stat on the show today. I guess ESPN did a study while he was there. The equivalent of a running back each game is running into a wooden garage door 25 times, 24/7.
Wow.
Yeah. That's insane, right? You think about it? I'm not trying to run into a wooden garage door 25 times a day for the rest of my life. Well, for the rest of my playing career, which is pretty much over. But think about that.
I like that idea. If he plays the rest of the season, he's healthy. He has the numbers. He just keeps getting the same numbers. sits out the entire year, but he's still got to be training, of course,
Right.
practicing, in shape. He can still go in the first round without a doubt.
Oh my God, he's a top 5 pick.
Well, I don't know about top five because of the way the running backs been, but last year,
True.
Melvin Gordon and Todd Gurley, who was hurt and missed a lot of the year, they'd go in the first round. So,
Well, here's the deal with Fournette. He's 20 years old. He's 20.
yeah,
He looks
he's my
like
age. He's my age.
he could be somebody's father. I mean, have you seen Fournette?
Yeah, he looks like my dad.
Yeah, he looks like he could be a lot of people's fathers. Um, he's a man child.
He's a
You know,
grown man.
but that's the thing. Like, you know, if you want to sit him, how's the LSU fan base going to take that?
Yeah, they're definitely not going to be happy about that.
They'll probably try to stab him. Like, it'll be insane. Like, you can't just say like, oh, you know. But you got to think about the kid too. Like, this is his future. So, I mean,
Exactly.
if he, God forbid, he takes a low hit, that's the only place you can hit Leonard Fournette. So,
But
all
I got
right.
a question for you. Do you give all the credit to Fournette, or do you got to give some of that to the offensive line?
No, we're not talking about that offensive. No, because that one lone highlight where that guy from Auburn tried to tackle him at the top, and he basically went over his shoulder. No, it's all Fournette.
So
It's
no
all
love for the
Fournette.
line.
It's all Fournette. All right, we got a little off topic, but still, I thought that was a great topic that I heard
Definitely.
today, and we definitely had to bring it in. All right, so let's talk about some pass catchers from the Cincinnati-Miami game. I'm a huge fan of Alex Chisholm. Once more came in last week. Chisholm was the guy that he looked to immediately. Kind of got off him a little as the game went on. Shaq Washington, too, is another guy that we need to be talking about, but I can't fit him into my lineup the way that I have it right now.
Oh man, I like Shaq Washington a lot, especially with Chris Moore and Johnny Holton both questionable for this game.
Indeed.
So Shaq Washington looks like a great bump. I mean, a great play, especially if Moore and Holton are out. That just gives them a bigger boost.
Well, here's my thing, and I'm glad you brought that up because those injuries to Moore and the other guy too, those are huge. I think maybe Miami, a pretty good defensive team. They double, triple Shaq Washington. I mean, he is that good where, he would be the number one receiver even if those guys weren't hobbled. So, Chisholm, who we've seen as a favorite of Moore, maybe he sees more targets.
Okay. I see where your head's at, and I like it.
That's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
And
I see where
again, and Miami, they are 6.5 point favorite on the road. They're basically saying, you're a little more than a touchdown favorite. I see Cincinnati throwing the ball. Again, I am not impressed with Cincinnati's run game, especially the fact that they got to divvy it up between two guys. That's fine, whatever. But, I like Cincinnati to throw the ball more than they're going to run it. So.
I agree. They're definitely going to throw the ball a lot.
All right. Miami side of things, I know you got a lot of interest here. Who's catching the ball for these guys?
Brad Kaya really spreads the ball out, so it's tough picking one particular guy. But if I had to go with someone, it'd be Rashawn Scott.
Oh.
He had a nice game last week, 9 catches, 151 yards. He exploded. He could have another nice day, especially against a not-so-good Cincinnati defense.
I think he's going to have a monstrous day.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he was quiet week 1 and week 2. And he just exploded against Nebraska with 9 catches.
Well, that's because they were playing shitbags the first 2 weeks,
Okay.
They didn't really need to throw it around a lot, but yeah, I mean, in a game like this, ESPN, you're going to Cincinnati, decent opponent. I know it's no Nebraska, but I think he's going to have a pretty damn good game. But again, this is another guy that's very tough to fit into your lineup. 6,800 on DraftKings, FanDuel. Where's he at?
7,000.
7,000. All right, so that kind of alters things, and especially if you're trying to get Paxton Lynch in your lineup, which I know everybody's going to do. I mean, look, You probably should have Paxton Lynch in your lineup. I'm not going that route. I'm straying away from the herd on this one.
Not even with the two quarterback system in DraftKings?
No,
Because I know
no,
you get two quarterbacks.
no. I know that too, and I think there's some value. There is some value to be had. We will get to that Memphis game next. That is the next one on the docket.
Okay,
But
okay.
I'm going to go with the quarterback on the opposite side of things. Anybody? I have Herb Waters from Miami in my lineup right now. He's got a decent stat line. First game there, Bethune-Cookman, 2 catches, 10 yards, whatever. Florida Atlantic, Nebraska. He combined for 9 catches, almost 200 yards. Doesn't have a touchdown yet, but listen, for 4,900, we're looking for decent value that we could have.
Exactly.
This is a guy that, listen, if you're going to get 12, 18 points from your number 2 receiver, let's have it. You're probably not gonna be able, to afford these big receivers if you're gonna have Jahad Thomas in your lineup or if you're gonna put Yearby in there. Maybe you will, but guess what? You're gonna suffer at other places as well.
Exactly.
I really like Herb Waters here, especially if Miami's gonna be putting up some points. You gotta have it somewhere.
Exactly. And I love his name, by the way. He sounds like a fast guy, and he is a fast guy.
Herb Waters.
That guy sounds like he flies. It's like Devin Hester.
That'll do. All right, let's take it down to Tampa for this one. I love this part of the country. Memphis Tigers. They're coming in as an 8-point favorite. We got a 62.5 total on this one. 72% of the public likes Memphis in this one, and as they should. Again, Paxton Lynch, probably the top quarterback on the slate. Going to cost you some ducats here at 9,100. However, I was thinking about this play even before Casey wrote about it. This is another Casey play here, but he likes Quentin Flowers. You're going to save yourself some salary here if you get this guy in your lineup. 6,600. And again, you got yourself a quarterback with a total of pretty high. We're plus 60 here. You take a look at his game log. His lowest total was 15.8. That was against FSU. The other two, we got a 24, basically a 25 against Florida A&M. Hit for 20 against Maryland. Listen, this guy is going to get his points, okay? Memphis is not good on defense. We know the pace that the Tigers play. He's going to get the ball, okay? This guy, and he also runs too, which I love for a college quarterback. Now, in the NFL game, you're not going to get many rushing touchdowns. I guess Tyrod Taylor or, if Aaron Rodgers gets, wicked. If he gets to be a wicked pisser, you might get him. But in the NFL, you don't get many rushing touchdowns from quarterbacks. In the college game, you want that. You want that because you get the extra 2 points for the rushing touchdown as opposed to the 4 for the passing. This is where Quentin Flowers comes into play. 85 rushing yards last week against Maryland, had the touchdown. I think this is where we can pick up some ground here off of Paxton Lynch.
Definitely, especially if they're going to be playing catch-up. Like you think it's going to be Memphis all the way. Quentin Flowers definitely going to have to throw the ball.
Yeah, and again, it's that whole reciprocation type deal where he's just going to get more touches because Memphis does their thing on offense,
Exactly. Can I call an upset and say South Florida is going to make this game a lot closer than people think?
All right, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if they're going to take it, but South Florida's defense actually ranks 28th against the pass this season, which is very good considering there's 129 schools.
All right.
Paxton Lynch is going to have a good game, but he's not going to explode, I don't think.
And and I didn't even, yes, USF historically they're a good team. Granted, but I think on this slate, Paxton Lynch is too much money. They are on the road, which kind of makes me think, you know what? It's not a bad idea to fade him in this one. I want to get one of those top running backs in my lineup. I have to. If I don't have Jahad Thomas or Yearby, the night's not going to go as well. again, I could see those two running backs being similar in points, but I just think Jihad has more upside because of his opponent.
I agree.
I know Casey likes Yerby. Yeah, it's going to be a close game. He's got the highest total on the night, but guess what? He's not going against Charlotte.
Just get them both. Why not?
I tried to do that. And then the receivers were just complete ass cheeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I gotta play with it on FanDuel, see what happens.
Yeah, look, I'm probably gonna get crazy and throw like a $3 lineup where I have the both of them, but I don't know. It's not gonna be a high. It's not gonna be a high roll. I love that idea. But I think you need, and especially in that Miami Cincinnati game, I think you need a Shaq Washington.
Yes, I love Shaq Washington.
I think that's a great idea, and Rashawn Scott too. I know what you were just saying, maybe having Yerby and Thomas in the same lineup. I don't think having Scott and Washington in the same lineup either is a terrible idea. I think that's a great idea. It just depends how you want to go. There's not much value at running back in this slate, so you got to go with one of the top guys. Also in this Memphis game, you got to target some Memphis receivers because, Paxton's going to be throwing. We look at the top guys on Memphis: Moshe Frazier, Sam Kraft, who's kind of a Percy Harvin type kind of guy. Especially more so when he was at Florida. He does a lot of rushing too. Little bit of fumbleitis issue, and USF's pretty good against the run too. So I'm not going to go Kraft this week.
Who was it that we're talking about? Because I froze. Sorry.
My bad. Memphis. We're talking about Memphis.
Okay.
And furthermore, with Memphis, Sam Kraft there, he's more of a. I think he's more of a running back than he is a receiver. It's kind of weird that he's still, listed as a receiver here on DraftKings. DraftKings, get your shit up, please.
Oh, on FanDuel, he's at a running back.
Yeah. Well, that's what he is. so FanDuel got it right,
Yeah. Looking at his stat line, he gets 12 carries a game, couple receptions. He's scored a touchdown in every game this year, so that's definitely a plus.
This isn't the spot to put him in.
Okay.
On such a short slate where we gotta be micromanaging. If we are micromanaging, Daniel Montiel, I love him there. Got another guy. Where the hell is it? Tevin Jones. He had a very, very weak week for whatever there against Cincinnati. 10.4. I was looking for a lot more than him. Tevin Jones is the guy that has a lot of potential. He's got a good body. He's got that body that I guess you look for at the next level. Tall, he's got the reach where he can go up and get it. Hey, here's the problem with Memphis. They spread it around too much. You get good value with Memphis, but you're basically at the craps table all night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get where you're coming from.
A lot of chances, but, you do get good value. So, again, Tevin Jones, 4,300 is good. Montiel, 3,600. Mayhew's not bad either at 3,900. So, these are guys that you can get pretty cheap, and, that way we're getting good receivers. We're getting good running backs in our lineup. We're not rolling with a bunch of bums.
Definitely. Any South Florida receivers you like?
I don't like any receivers, but I'll tell you what, we're gonna get some value here at running back with Dernis Johnson. This is a guy that he's more like that Dunbar type from Dallas.
Yes.
This is what we're looking at here. Only a couple rushes here in the first couple games. He had 7 in his last game, which probably doubled what he had before. But he's a guy that catches balls. He had 4 receiving touchdowns in his first 2 games. And that second game was against Florida State. So, I kind of see this game going the same way that it did against Florida State. in the fact that they'll be behind and playing, from a desperation mode, if you will. I love it. I think this guy's going to be, because if you look at the points per game, like if you do that kind of filter, you're going to see that this guy is well worth his value. I think he's going to be highly owned, but you have to put this guy, especially if he's catching passes on DraftKings. You get a point that way, you got to have him. He's 3,800. Do it.
I'll do it.
You
You
have to.
convinced me.
What's he on FanDuel?
6,200.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Does FanDuel not watch? Do they not watch college football?
Apparently they don't.
Bastards. Nah, you gotta have this guy. I mean, on DraftKings, well, not FanDuel. No, you don't have to have him. But on DraftKings, he's 3,800. He's averaging 19.2 a game. You gotta have him. I mean, it's basically like the Carlos Williams play. I feel like in college football, you have to make those parallels to the NFL because no one's gonna understand it. So
Exactly.
basically, Dearness Johnson is the same thing as Carlos Williams this week against the Giants.
Okay.
All right.
I like the comparison.
Sure enough. There's only 2 plays in this Temple-Charlotte game, and I don't even want to talk about the other because it'll just be a waste of time.
Lee McNeil? Is that who you're leaning towards?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
The Charlotte Water Boy will not be in my lineup this week.
Can you guess how many FanDuel points he got last week against Florida Atlantic?
Well, I was just looking at his average on DraftKings, and oh my God. Well, here's the deal. Well, you probably don't want to take a quarterback that had minus points in 2 consecutive weeks. That's not good. That's not good, man.
Negative 52 rushing yards last week.
Jesus
How does that
Christ.
happen?
Yeah, I'll tell you how that happened. You probably get a shotgun snap rolling right by your ear hole, and then it probably rolls all the way down to like the 2-yard line. You gotta step on it.
Definitely. Good point.
That happened to an NFL. I forget which running back it was, but it did happen to somebody last week. He's got great stats. He's got great stats, by the way, this year. 0 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and 116 yards in 3 games. So,
With negative 52 rushing yards.
yeah, definitely don't have Lee McNeil in your lineups this week. But the guys that we were talking about, Jahad Thomas from Temple, 9,600 on FanDuel. Listen, Charlotte is one of the worst teams in college football against the run. I get that this game has a 48.5 over-under, but Jahad Thomas will – I don't like to do this because it puts a lot on me, but I think he's going to set an NCAA record tomorrow.
Okay.
NCAA record tomorrow. I'm not even kidding. Like it's going to be a bloodbath. Jahad Thomas is there for the feeding. If you don't feel that way, PJ Walker, he's a good play, 7,300, but you're going to get more out of Hayden Moore at 7,200, so don't even worry about it.
Hayden Moore, you love that guy. Come on.
I do. I mean, Jesus Christ. He came off the bench for 557 yards last week. That's insane.
Just call it. Top fantasy point quarterback this week. Just call it.
Starting quarterbacks don't even throw for 557 yards. That's insane.
Not even Aaron Rodgers does that.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, we got one game left to talk about. This is college football. It's a quick show. We're not trying to keep you here. UConn against the school that marries 9 people at the same time, BYU. There is some value here. There is some value. BYU is an 18.5-point favorite. Over under at 43.5. Okay, we'll get our work done ahead of schedule in this game. There are a couple plays that I like here. Do you like any before I go off?
I'm looking at a nice value play here. Noel Thomas from UConn. I hope that was not your guy.
Oh no, you can't go UConn. The line tells you everything. I mean, the line tells you that UConn probably not even going to score a touchdown.
You gotta hear me out.
All right, I will do
Remember,
that.
remember my Rashard Matthews play last week? He went off.
Very true. Very true. Very
So
true.
this Noel Thomas is my guy.
All right.
UConn is going to be playing from behind. So what better guy to throw it to than Noel Thomas, who has 19 receptions on the year?
BYU's defense is pretty good. I mean, they're pretty like damn good. You know.
Hey, he's a nice value play. Not saying he's going off, but he's going to get some targets and some receptions. He's listed at 5,400, which is a very reasonable price.
All right, Matthews, where you at? Where you at? Or who is your guy? I'm sorry.
Noel Thomas.
Yeah, that's not Matthews. 4,600. All right, not bad, not bad. I'd like
How
a little
much is he
more
on
info.
DraftKings?
I'd like a little more info on this guy. If any of our Twitter listeners are out there, you know, like I need like a Braverman type scouting report. By the way, Braverman last week, amazing.
Who do you need a scouting report on?
On Thomas, like I don't know enough about him, but I'm just saying if we're going off the numbers and I got to go here on a 43.5 over under, that's not the game that I'm going at.
Hey, he's not a running back. He's a wide receiver.
However, if you don't like Vegas lines and you're like forget you Walsh with all your gambling stuff, Tanner Magnum. Now I think this is a very nice combination that you could have here. Tanner Magnum and Mitch Matthews. Mitch Matthews had an absolutely abysmal game against Michigan, and that's very surprising because Michigan kicked their ass in like the first, like basically as soon as BYU got off the bus, we're like, we're taking all your wives. Like, you can just go back home, dude. Mitch Matthews, one of the top receivers in the nation. He's very good. He only had one catch for 4 yards last week, which I don't get at all. However, you know, this could be a bounce back week. And if Mitch Matthews goes off, obviously he's not going to throw the ball to himself. So that's where you get Magnum. But the only thing that, you know, the only thing that throws me off on this is the total in the game.
Exactly.
That's why I don't want to go with any UConn. Just 18.5 on the road. That's a lot. That is a lot to overcome. I could get with it if the over/under was pretty high, but 43.5, I can't get on board with that.
Okay.
But
I can't argue with you.
Mitch Matthews late night bat. I'm all about that life.
Late night bat, 10:15 p.m.
Hell yeah. That Friday night Utah late night bat, baby.
Exactly.
That's the first and only time you'll ever hear the late night bat in Utah.
Yeah, that's the.
Could you imagine going to school in Utah?
What's up with you in Utah? Ripping Utah again. Sorry to all our Utah listeners.
It's not exactly like the greatest place in the world. Like that it just looks like it sucks out there. Like, what are you gonna do?
Salt Lake City.
Oh yeah,
Salt Lake
that's
City.
what I was gonna say. I was like, oh, we'll go to Salt Lake City. Like, that's not even a good time.
They got salty lakes there. Doesn't get better than that.
I guess, but it's like, dude, Salt Lake City, really? Like, you know, that's not Atlantic City. That's not, you know, Miami. That's not New York City. That's nothing.
Just go and walk.
What about when it doesn't snow? Like, oh, we're going to go to the Jazz game. Like, who gives a shit?
That's
like,
exactly what I was about to say.
Karl Malone's not there anymore. Like, what the fuck do I want to go there for?
Like, Utah's got a pretty good basketball team.
You know what I should do? I should have a show where I just rip on, like, shitty American cities.
All 50 states, you just rip them.
Like Tuesday, I'll do Cleveland night. Wednesday,
no, that's a whole week. That's a week right there.
The place is a dump. I'll just, like, Wednesday night will be Cleveland night.
Okay. I'll definitely join the show.
Thursday, we'll talk about Topeka, Kansas. I don't know.
And Friday's Utah, apparently.
For sure. We had a lot of great talk about football tonight. Nick, want to thank you for hanging in twice.
Thanks for having me.
We did. I mean, Thanks for having you. I mean, shit, it's your fucking network too, man.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
still an honor. It was still a pleasure.
I want to thank a special guest of the show this week. He's an avid poker player. Tanner Bebot or Bibat. Bebot. I like Bebot. Bebot works well. But glad to have you. Thanks for supporting the show and asking for the fantasy advice. If you took the advice last week, I am so sorry to everybody out there. I mean, you have those weekends where they don't work out well,
Exactly.
So, we're definitely coming back strong this week. Again, 14a.walsh on Twitter. That is where you find me. You daily fantasy addict, where do they find you?
At Fantasy Addicts 1. Pretty simple.
What a segue, right? What a segue.
Exactly.
You guys want to see that NFL show? Check us out on the Twitter page. It's on everybody's page. That's the way to go. But guess what? Thursday night, this is a way to get a little money to play with on Sunday. I love these Thursday, Friday night slates,
I love them. Especially that it's only 4 games, have enough time to really research each team. This is the time to go off. Put all the marbles in.
Well, I think it too, because if you do well here, you get enough money to go overboard with on Sunday, which I love to do. I don't like to put my own money in to go overboard, but if I get to play with house money to go overboard with, I'm all in.
You skip Saturday though. Saturday is a big day, not Sunday.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Tomorrow night we're back, folks. We got the Saturday night show. Casey Carruthers will be joining us live from the streets of Philadelphia.
Our college football insider right there.
He's good. Go to dailyfantasysportsrankings.com. You will find the Casey Carruthers weekly breakdown. Great articles. And, this is why me and him connected. He actually, it sounds like you're actually talking to the guy when you're reading the articles. You know what I mean? I love that. I don't like, blah, 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 lying around the weeds. This is, good interactive articles. I love it. So, have it.
Definitely check that out. Must read right there.
I like when somebody talks to you you're in a conversation, but you're not there.
I know what you mean.
However, all right, yeah, so that was our 4-game college breakdown. If you want to hit us up, there is the place, 14a.walsh on Twitter. Fantasy Addicts 1.
Yes, sir.
Hit it there. We're out for the evening. It is a Wednesday night. We got to get the hell out of here and watch our Scandal episodes. What? No, never.
Not for me.
Yeah, I don't do that kind of stuff.
Okay,
I watch Homeland. You watching any TV series?
Not at the moment. I was watching Ballers, but that ended. Taking a break right now.
I gotta get back. I watched the first 4 episodes and I was like, I'm good.
It gets better.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're just saying that because you live down there.
Dan Lepetard is on an episode too, so that was pretty funny.
He's on 1 episode. It doesn't mean I have to watch 6 hours after he goes away.
It gets better, trust me. It was off to a slow start, but it gets better.
If anybody talks about Cleveland being a dump, then I'm in. I'm sold.
They need Stugatz on there too.
All right, folks. We will see you tomorrow night. We got a big Saturday night slate going on. I can't wait. And by the way, did you take a look at the over/under on the Texas Tech? I forgot who they're playing. Hold on, I gotta take a look at this. I believe it's Texas Tech. I think it's Texas Tech Baylor. Did you see the line on the game?
Is it higher than the TCU Texas Tech?
You need to see. I want you to see it for yourself, and I think the public deserves to see your face when you see the line yourself.
Oh man!
Yes,
unbelievable.
that's it. 88.5, my friends. 88 and a half. We'll definitely have some exposure to that one. There's a couple other ones that we like out there, but
I'm calling over. I'm calling over.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's hitting 100.
All right, for me and Nikki Rod, we will see you tomorrow night, 10 p.m., 9 p.m.
We'll figure out the details.
Yeah, we will. Hey, it's Twitter. We get it in. We get it in, baby. Tomorrow night. Peace.
Peace.